G'day, welcome to the mailbag powered by puntingform.com.au. Sectional pro forms, what I use, Josh uses, Peter uses, and everyone who's ever been on the show uses. Common thing is we win. If you want to start winning, puntingform.com.au. Just give it a go. You won't regret it. It's kind of like a gateway drug, I guess, Peter, isn't it?
Not in any way, shape, or form.
Having that first dart, little barky. Next thing you know, you understand how races are run and how to find the fastest horse, etc.
I think that's one of the worst analogies you've had on the show. But anyway, play on.
That's a big call.
Josh, welcome.
Yep.
Thank you. Great to be back on board, previewing some shows.
How have you found the racing last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, and leading into like a fat meeting on a big day, and also with last week's like fatness, but also trueness the Flemington card sort of provided us? Feeling good?
Feeling great. Yeah, some good racing around. I think this champ here really showed his true colours last week. Now going to the All-Star Mile. And, it's been some good racing the last couple of weeks. It's really exciting. You know, you just get that buzz when the good racing's around. But seeing it, I think you'd sometimes agree, is, you know, when you see a card, then you get excited, and then you find that, you know, there's no edge a lot of the time in some of these races where you think that there might, you know, it's a good race, but obviously the best horses are there. They're all set to peak. You know, sometimes you actually prefer a shitty winter benchmark 90 race to bet into from a betting perspective. It's sometimes better just to find the fat in some of those races, no doubt. But no doubt this weekend, 17 horses running down the straight in the Newmarket, which should be a ripping race.
It's a glorious race.
I don't think it's as good as some people are making it out to be, but I think it's still better than recent years.
From a betting point of view, it's exciting. Like if you want to step around the first two, but you could also step into one of them. There's a bunch of horses you can back.
Absolutely. I think there's many angles to be found there. Even a couple of Kiwis thrown in there too.
Peter, have you frozen, or are you just sort of...
No, I'm listening intently. But on all that, should we have a look at the Newmarket, race 6?
Yeah, why not,
Saturday.
Peter? That's a good idea.
Lost and Running, Home Affairs, they head the market. Home Affairs is 370, Lost and Running 390. And then, we've got Artorias at $11, $12, Masked Crusader 13 or so, Swat's that 15, Quantico 16, so is Snap Dancer. All right, who wants to go first? Josh, you're the guest.
Sure. What a race. Home Affairs, I think, if he wins this, he is really just like elite, because the task he has to do with the weight in this handicap is stand himself at weight for age already and set weights. But this will take him to sort of a real elite level. Could even stamp him easily as the best sprinter in the country if he isn't already that, after Nature Strip sort of fall down in his typical second up fashion last week. For me, in terms of a punting perspective, I have to be around Home Affairs. Lost and Running is the one to beat. In terms of edge, not much there, not much in it. Horse like Quantico is really interesting. Super run down the straight in the spring. Artorias also a interesting runner as well. Inside draw probably not preferable. Not sure where you want to be on the day just yet. With rail out 5, there's probably some deterioration in the track inside, so leaning maybe potentially to the outer of the track. So favouring those like Home Affairs and Masked Crusader getting home late. I think Masked Crusader gets to its right distance here as well. Was just not suited in that first up run in the Lightning. Will be definitely running a better race over 1200 where it will be better suited. And then you've got your straight track horses like Zatori and Halvorsen, who always run super down there. Not to forget September Run as well. So what's that? Also flew home in the Lightning as well. I think it could be a touch of unders with the market. I think it wouldn't be surprised if I see it ease a bit. But well weighted, no doubt, in a handicap race here. Interesting horse, I think, as well, is Finance Tycoon. If it's actually turned sort of its form completely around with that first up win. It was a great ride first up, no doubt, and they let it run. I hear that the horse has had some wind issues, so letting it run is no doubt the way to let
option.
way to let it be run. So whether or not it could lead here, not sure. Snap Dancer flying as well, but could be sort of a bit out of its grade here, I think. But yeah, like there's a lot of angles you can find. Dico?
I can't believe they're running Snap Dancer here as a starting point. Makes no sense. Josh Richards replacing D Lane on Finance 10 Tycoon, who I don't like as a horse in this race. There's a massive, massive, like enormous step up. Probably needs to find 4 lengths of being blessed to get its PB figures. But Josh Richards is pretty potent at Flemington. His strike rate increases dramatically and his profitability increases dramatically, which is interesting. And I reckon that most of that damage has been done down the straight. So that's a bit of a positive for that horse. I think the starting point from a betting point of view is Artorias. It's got they opened about the same price in the good race in spring down the straight. Maybe it's called the Coolmore, maybe.
Yep.
They started about the same price. Home Affairs was like grand final trainer aimed at that race, whereas I think Artorias was a little bit all over the shop in that prep. So I think the market sort of swerved towards Home Affairs late. It was a big steam off a big parade as well, though, Pete. And Artorias was a little drift, but the SPs were very similar. Now here you're getting a dramatic difference in price off a horse that's now 100% aimed at this race. I think barrier 2 and the lack of speed's half a good thing. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if it's half slow, Craig Neal is fearless and will put this horse wherever he wants to. So if he wants to get to the outside, he'll be outside, I think, quite comfortably. If he wants to kick up and use the gate on the inside, he'll be fine. The big negative with Artorias is always the map and being in that back third down a straight. But outside of that, I think you're getting a really fair price for a really talented horse. What do you guys think about that horse?
I just hate the map.
But at the price?
Yeah, even at the price. But I hated this race from a betting point of view. I was just looking at trying to find a chink in the armour of Lost and Running or Home Affairs, but because they both put themselves into the race, I guess Lost and Running, the small query is first time down the straight, but you know, Home Affairs has been there, done that. I just find it really difficult to knock either of them, to be honest. I had small little edges like Artorias. I've got marked just slightly short in the market. Quantico is probably the one. I've tried to penalise it as much as I can, and it's still a slide over. So, look, if I was going to have a small bet, it would be on it. But yeah, I don't really have any genuine interest. I just find it hard to fathom both Lost and Running and Home Affairs not running to their peak on the same day. And as a result, it's going to be really difficult to get past one or both.
Well, I'm not a weight guy, but I know Josh is. The Artorias has like maybe it's 6 or 7 kilo swing on Home Affairs from that Coolmore or whatever. Is it called the Coolmore? I'm sure it's a Coolmore.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's vulnerable, and I think Lost and Running down the straight is vulnerable. Like it's a different setup, and if Lost and Running wasn't trained by John O'Shea, I'd be more confident in sort of betting around it. His horses spiked big time at Flemington in the last carnival. I agree, Quantico. Because I backed Oxy Road at $51 as well. It wasn't suited and could be behind what is the best sprinter in the country in Marabi. That Caulfield figure was fucking enormous. That horse just keeps ticking boxes. Oxy Road couldn't win from where it was and was pretty strong through the line. It was entitled to sort of get taken by the swoopers there. Not one of them got near him. So I thought that run was big. I think the barrier, the ride was awful, I thought, at Caulfield, Oxy Road. The ride's just, it's a very simple setup here. Just get behind Home Affairs and see if you're better than it. I've had a small bet Zutori because of the track and trip stuff, and last prep, a little bit like Artorias, I think was trained to be a bit of a 400-mile horse, and it's not now. It's a track and trip beast, and I think it'll improve and is the wrong price. So, yeah, I've had a few bets around these two favourites. I agree, though, Pete, like, you know, might be sort of 350 to go and just think, you fucking moron, why'd you do this? As one of them just kicks, but Yeah, I think it's an outstanding betting race. I've backed Zutori, I've backed Oxy Road, I've backed Quantico, and I've backed Artorias. So 4 horses to knock off these 2 favourites.
I think just to touch on it, another one is back when I was when Sunlight won the Newmarket down the straight. I like to sort of be with the horses. It's not obvious with short races. You want to be, on the speed and everything, but with such a big field, you don't want to have to weaving for runs and things like that. You want the most straightforward, easy, efficient run. So the map even plays more into my head. I think with these races, you want to be on horses in the first half of the field, no doubt, because with things will get held up from the back in these big fields down the straight, even though there's 15 to 20 lanes of room. You just want to be clear with running. So if I was steering towards one, it'd probably be something with a pretty clear map on pace to lead.
I think though that leans Lost and Running's a chance of getting within the wash of this race and getting a little bit lost in running, Josh. But like Artorias is like just last, so I'm kind of not worried about it as such. You're sort of getting the price for the map, but you're very unlikely for it to get stuck in the mix there. Like Swat's that will get like held up at some point, no doubt. Those sort of horses. Hugh Bowman's strike rate drops maybe 7 or 8% when it comes to Flemington. That's off 200 and something rides. So I think it's vulnerable. It's not J-Mac.
All right. Should we have a look at the Australian Cup? Race 7. Think It Over's favourite, $3. Spanish Mission, $4.50. Douai and Cascadian, $8.50 a piece. She's Ideal, $11. Call Sign Mav, $14. Upwards the rest. Dicko, I'll start with you this time. Let's run us through the map first.
It's Douas.
I'm pretty sure it's not, but
it's definitely Douas. Maximal, Think It Over, Call Sign Mav, I think roll forward. Call Sign Mav, big decisions. Very big decisions for J-Mott at Flemington. So if you back it, I don't know, I'd find a few gods and I'd pro them all. Delphi from 1, Coffin, beautiful run. Steel Prince, Cascadian thereabouts. Yonkers, Spanish Mission. Yonkers will be midfield or just worse. Spanish Mission, I don't know what they do either. Like, does he get the back of Call Sign Mav's got the big J-Mac on? It's a big switch. Duas, worse in midfield with Surprise Baby. And then I think She's Ideal and Ho Ho Khan, ridden by T-Hope. Their weight for age group 1 level will have to go back from 12. I think the map horse is Delphi, and I think the horse to back each way is number 1, Cascadian. Do you want me to dribble on about why, or do one of you guys want to say something first?
No, you go why, because...
you go why.
Yeah.
Track and Trip, 1 from 1 round 2nd, Cascadian, so confident there. I saw this thing in the yard at Caulfield, despite its like pathetic tempo of that race. I thought it just did what it had to do. The Great Man sticks. Baratu suits the Great Man. It was so fit. Nostrils the size of my fist, this horse. I watched it parade a few times out the back there at Caulfield. Stinking hot day. I think it's humming along. I think the trip suits. The map looks pretty soft in a tricky race. I think It Over's vulnerable to Flemington. I think some of the other ones in the market's maps are tricky, and I think the Delphi, if it gets out and out and out, it's just a price where, it's big boy Mark Zara, soft little run, just waits his turn. If the horse is going it might be back, and if it's back to its level of the spring, that's a big player in any race. And what did SP in the Caulfield Cup? $5.50 in a Caulfield Cup. That was 3 starts ago. It's going to get the gun run here.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty... I've got them both exactly the same price, Think It Over and Spanish Mission. That's giving Spanish Mission sort of an SP figure from that Caulfield Cup, which is sort of all we can go off as it's sort of level for me. Gets the greatest gear change in Australia, J-Mac on.
Luke Nolan's riding well. Luke Nolan is riding well, like better than you might anticipate, but he's still fucking nowhere near J-Mac.
Yeah, exactly. He's flying, but J-Mac is just different gravy sort of in Australia at the moment. I sort of like She's Ideal and Duais. I really like She's Ideal, actually. Super run in the Chipping Norton. Got back, flew home. Maybe wants like 2,400 though, and maybe a bit of a softer track. Interesting that they brought it down here. I think she really relishes the softer tracks. Goes far better on my figures on a softer track. But just excited to see her go around. I think so. In terms of betting, Duais and She's Ideal, I can't really get close to the market in terms of value. But a horse probably leaning towards Spanish Mission. I've seen that they've just sort of trickled on it a bit more, and it's in 380. Was hoping if I could get $4.50 sort of plus. Was hoping to get a price on it.
So you're not worried about this map at all?
Map's it's a little stinky, but it's not. I don't think. You know how these races are run. They seem to just find a spot, and he'll probably slot in like. I don't know if he'll lead, but he'll sort of slot in like 1-1, I reckon. And he could even get like sort of the dream run and just slot in 1-1. Who knows what they do with Delphi, because that horse is just like, it gets pulled everywhere sort of a thing. They rode it correct first up. How I imagine they'd ride it in Australia, but that's not how they've done it every time. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. I thought it was just going to be a real tough on pace runner. And they've actually ridden it sort of off the speed more times than not since coming to Australia. And can't say it's not done the right thing because of huge run in the Herbert Power to win. So yeah, they've got it going well. Horse like Mab, also interesting, especially with the SP. Was backed heavily in the Carline. And then was scratched, I think, the other day from a race. Was that at Caulfield? I think it could have been at Caulfield again. So interesting to see how that goes. We'll no doubt be definitely ready to run out 2,000, which was more suited to in New Zealand, back in New Zealand. Started, 30-1 in the Cox Plate, which is definitely, I think, like an SP that's okay to be bettable here at this sort of level with the draw though, and the jockey. Just saying, Jamie Mott's a good jockey at some levels, but probably this level is a bit out of his grade. It could be tricky, but just an interesting runner, I thought, from what the SP is after the race, just because he got so well backed in the first up run.
How's Yonkers the same price as Delphi here?
Yeah.
Last start, they hit SP 3 times the price of it.
Could be just a third up Waller thing that the market might be thinking, but I could see it definitely SPing sort of
50s.
I could, yeah. I've got it sort of 50s, so I'm happy to stick with that and be pretty confident that it would SP around that.
I thought one of the other interesting horses in this race is Surprise Baby. I thought the performance behind Ellswood was pretty decent. Like from where it was in run, and you couldn't really knock it. It might be just building up the rev levels suited to Flemington. Yep. Did start favourite in a Melbourne Cup, or near favourite.
Yep, has some pretty big figures probably its peak figures at Flemington, no doubt.
It's very elegant once or twice. Favourite versus Humidor. Good horse when right. Might be right. I think my summation is have a very small bet each way on Cascadian and enjoy the ride. It's not a great race.
That's
Peter.
I'm pretty keen here. Duais. I know it's had horrendous SPs the last couple, but coming out of the Chipping Norton where it wasn't going to be suited, that run was just incredible. Like it's just stuck bolting for a run the entire straight. Eventually gets flushed out wide. The last 200 figure, it was the second fastest on the card for a stayer. I think it goes better on ground that's not heavy. Hasn't run at Flemington, that's a small knock, but I think it will be suited by the track. I think it will be suited by the way that the race shapes up. Just ticks boxes for me. I think we're getting a really good price because of the jock trainer setup, which I don't think factors in as much as is required to be betting here. So I'm pretty happy to bet Do I. Small bet Delphi. That was the other one. They're both Caulfield Cup horses. But yeah, more than happy with both of those to be settling into a really nice spot here in this run.
It's interesting, Josh Parr, he was remember last week we were talking about he's done from 4. We were like, oh, he hasn't in the winner. He was on overpass and that other thing. Now if you click on the punting form, like jockey rankings for the meeting, go by pot. He's the king, number one seed, goes to 57%, 2 from 7.
Hashtag sample size. Along with Josh, I went looking for She's Ideal, but the only figure I could find, that matriarch figure, was just plain. So I'm just a little bit iffy on her. And again, as Josh alluded to, just wanting it a little bit softer in the track. So did go looking for She's Ideal, but just couldn't find it. Spanish Mission and Think It Over, I just thought they were short enough at the current quotes. I think Think It Over is probably the one where, it seems to map really well, but there's just a few little queries on, I think, how that form's going to stack up, and also at Flemington, I just don't have a real guide, and at that price, I'm more than happy to just let it go. So yeah, for me, Do I, one of the better bets on the card.
Beautiful. We're about to head to race 2, but before we do, Peter, just a quick comment on race 8, the basically import from the state of WA, which is basically its own country.
It is.
Chairman McGowan has allowed this horse to enter Victoria. It looks fucking deadly to me. The King rides, Mark Zara.
Mark McMahon.
Mark McMahon. Apparently he's in the ownership.
Full credit, the tutor.
Is it? How good is it? And do you endorse political? Do you endorse my rather large bet upon it?
It's a good horse. It should have run second in the Kingston Town. That was when it copped bad interference of Western Empire late. It should have run second to Regal Power. I'm surprised that the protest was not upheld. It's got the figures. It's got the right trainer. Danny Morton's got a good history bringing horses west to east. This doesn't look a great field. There was condition on the horse first up. I'll have a really good line and going into the mounting yard. Can't wait to see it parade. It just looks set as long as it's travelled over well. So we'll wait and see. But
title of this week's show: Race 8, West will be best.
Yes, it's one of those where, as much as I'd love to back it now, I always love to see these horses in the yard.
Took 480. I think it'll win. I thought the Kieran Maher horse. I liked it a lot. But the deeper I dug, the less I liked it. SP's awful versus some of these. Could go on. And also full credit to this trainer's son who kicked those couple of massive goals in the Swans 2012 Grand Final. He was a dubious selection and he delivered on the big stage, and I'm forever grateful. I think it's Cale Morton or someone. Race 2, Peter. It's over the 6. His name was Morton.
Yeah.
He kicked like a couple of snags like bananas. Crumbing work.
All related.
Glorious stuff. Race 2 is as a 600 metre Group 3 for mares and up, Peter.
Yep.
The map, boys. Turreth and Vinciano I have leading from Flying Mascot. I think yes, baby, yes. We'll kick up from 1. Groovy kind of love thereabouts from 2. Not like last. Score, bound to win, don't know. Promise of success and rocket the clock. Tailing off.
Can we just keep this pretty simple? Does anyone have anything other than Flying Mascot being a bet and winning this race?
I have genuine fear around Turreth, who I think's a group horse, and I'm scared of. And this is the right sort of graded race, and the right sort of map for it to sort of dominate. I think D-Lane suits. I'm scared of it. I think Flying Mascot's a very, very good bet here, though. At the same time, I have it at $1.98 now. And the other horse that scares me, I think Josh will speak to, is Groovy Kind of Love, who I think can get Flying Mascots back if it wants. And well, this is the theme I think for Josh for this whole show. It's J-Mac on, baby, and I love it. Am I wrong?
Well, that is the thing that scares me. Like yourself, Dicko, I've got Flying Mascot at 220, so there's enough fat in that price to bet. However, I think the aim, just quickly, was the All-Star. I thought they were going to the All-Star Mile. I don't think they didn't get that slot. Now this could just be like sort of an afterthought. No doubt was a good win last start. Very slow run race, and turned it into a pretty nice run race when leading. But yeah, horses like Chirath, who missed a run in before the Futurity last start, he scares me because it's missed that run and now it's probably set to peak. Whether or not it's going to enjoy the mile, I didn't really think. I thought it was more so just a 1400 metre horse, but I can, I'll be wrong if it just turns up on Saturday. I think you have to be around it, but I'm with Dicko that it's a good horse, but I just think it's better suited to 1400. Horse Groovy Kind of Love, who I was on last start, who sort of just never saw daylight at Flemington, believe it or not. Came out, was flying home, gets J-Mac on. However, it gets to a grade here where I sort of look at things like the weights, and it's giving 13 kilos to the top rated. So Chirath, the likes of Chirath, Flying Mascot, Rocket Clock, they're all well in at the weights with being set weights and penalties. So these horses are going to have to turn up. The other horse that scares me, which is well in at the weights, is Promise to Success, only giving 1 kilo to those horses.
And it's John Flemington. He could train 3 winners. And
exactly.
Dead heat to Newmarket, but he could do it.
And I feel like we sort of still, this horse could probably still sort of improve even more. Second to Forbidden Love last start in the Guy Walter up in Sydney on a heavy track. Obviously good in heavy tracks. I don't think it's too much of a worry. Maybe leaning towards the heavier tracks. Just had a look. It also does have synthetic hoof filler on the first time. There's a lot of little bits and pieces here that you could sort of, a lot of head noise, as we say. And probably, if I'm ballsy enough, I'm probably back Flying Mascot and Promise Success and just pray that J-Mac doesn't see daylight on Groovy Kind of Love. Because that horse just hits the line every time on punting form figures. It's just always running on.
I think John O'Shea's got 2 here too, by the way. 2 in this race as well. Tarath also has he's 2 from 3 at the track. I'm more grey from listening to you speak and having a little look at the form whilst listening to you speak. The way I price and bet, you back Flying Mascot here is pretty simple. But Tarath, not suited first up. Then it was behind Marabi over 1200. And then it's just run behind Sierra Sue, Tefane, beat I'm Thunderstruck. It's fucking airborne. If he gets out $6, you have to bet.
We haven't even really touched on Rocket Clock either, which could definitely, could show up.
1 from 1 track and trip.
Yeah.
Peter?
It's angles.
You must have a lot of clarity after that, mate.
I just thought it was pretty simple overall. I thought Promise of Success was the weak point in the market. Just in terms of the overall figures, I went looking for it. I've given bonuses. I still can't get it the price. Just given that. I've got Rocket Clock again. Just don't like the map, although I do concede it obviously, has won track and trip before, which is a positive for it. I don't like Tarath at 1600, and that just left me with Flying Mascot, who's got the track and distance figure. It's got the booming last start splits. It just ticks boxes. That's just it for me. Just maps perfectly. I want 260 to bet.
Track and trip.
That's it.
I should mention there's also a former Mexican in Score going around who was with John Sadler all its life. Now it's just gone up to Annabelle Neesham. And I remember looking up at the screen the other week, I think it was a midweek meeting at Kensington, seeing Score in the run. I go, hold on, that's one of our old numbers. Who did I see is training it now? Annabelle. And I thought, wow, this is
full credit to Annabelle, but if you can improve on her SADs,
she can get something out of it. Because I always thought it was a pretty talented horse and always hit the line super. Unlucky in plenty of starts. Caulfield used to run around and flash home for second and things like that.
I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Race 3, Pistol.
Yep, last race. Remark, slight favourite. at 440 ahead of Gimme Par and Zarastro at 460. General Bowes 8. My numero uno, Lloyd's Crown $11. All right, Josh, anything for race 3?
I thought it was a pretty tough race. Remark, I don't know any of these horses that is trailed behind up in Sydney, but it's the SB horse for me here. And if I'm confident, I'd be backing it because there's enough edge. Some of these other horses, Zarastro is a little tricky to sort of assess its form. Gimme Par as well. I don't really love it either in terms of its form lines and things like that. It's just
Peter Moody's fucking airball though, and it hasn't got a carry. It's got J Carr. This race is great. This race is very great.
Yeah, it's a real great race. I think I've found that Crystal Bow might be a fresh horse. Did a similar run sort of first up last prep. Would be happy to sort of be on. And it did have a gallop the other day with the great Hatswatsu. Ballarat got wind there. So it'll no doubt be fit and ready to run. Whether or not it's good enough here is tricky. But yeah, I can't really say. If I was to tip one, it'd be Remark and probably Crystal Bow with price each way.
Just having a little daydreams about like you and Rixie and that, just like shivering with your hot chocolates. Oh, that was it, I think. Oh, that was quick.
All right. Well, we're on the clock. So.
Yeah.
Did you get it? Yeah, got it, mate. Yep, we've timed it well.
Yeah, fuck. Peter?
Do you want me to grey you up a little bit here?
I find this. I knew I didn't want to talk about this race because I have bet and I know this is going to fuck me. So keep going.
I love this race. Just for a bit of homework on a side note, the Hawks team and Chris Waller first up down the straight, never seen the track before. We're talking about those horses. The Hawks team are 14 from 64 at 33% pot. Waller is 8 from 39 at 53% pot.
Fuck, you are good.
And there's 2 in this race.
That is gold. That is absolute gold.
There's 2. There's Remark and there's Zarastro. And I'm not backing either of them. I'm going to stick with General Bow. It's coming out of that Oakley Plate where it just never got a run at all. It was not suited versus the day, the way the track was panning out. Second up last prep. It ran in a really hot version of the McNeil at Caulfield. I'm just bringing it up now, but it ran behind Bruckner, Artorias, Hearsay, Lightsaber, and it was beaten 1.2 lengths. It's got the track and trip figures nailed down. So does Gimme Par, but I'm getting a better price General Bow. Probably the concern is the 61 kilos, but it is a pretty big horse, and it's carried 58.5 before without any real drama. So that was the way I was landing price-wise, but yeah, it's a nice race. So this is going to be one that I'm going to have a lot of fun with.
Why isn't J-Mac riding Zarastro? That's what I want to know. He rode in 2 jump outs at Rose Hill. Here it is. He's here. He's not riding. Sus. No. Dodging. My numero uno. Big weight. Did what I had to do. Different form line.
Yep.
Home track trainer. Blessed. This will be blessed in run. It's a wrong price. I think you can have something on it. It's a winner. This horse, like it just wins. It's a proper line chaser. Sorry, I had something went through my head there. And the other horse we backed is Remark. Jackson loves the trial. You've horned me up now, Peter, with that stat. I think the map's beautiful and soft here for Jai. Trial's enormous, and then what that stat you've done enormous. I think Remark's a comfy bet to have in this race. So we've backed Remark and we've backed my numero uno.
All right. Well, do we have a staking plan? Are we going with that again this week?
Well, unless you just want to pay up already for the suit, that's up to you.
Well, I don't know. Given I've actually looked at some races this week and you've given me more than, say, like 8 seconds heads up, I probably should because...
Did you decide pre-meeting, pre-show on when this competition comes to a close?
When do I think will be... Should we call it at the end of the Bendigo Golden Mile Day?
After the Bendigo or before it? We can go on that Saturday. Skip the Bendigo meeting.
Bendigo's the final meeting.
Okay. How far away is that just for my mental health? Because I'm already trying to, I'm looking at my shoulder a bit already.
Oh, about May.
Christ.
Yeah.
Isn't there a
Right.
Bendigo? I think there's a Bendigo next week as well. I thought you get giving him a week there. On 2 weeks.
The nursery of champions. Righto, how are you spending your 200 this week, Peter?
Okay, I'm doing doubles and treble, so 4 different combos.
Get your pens out, punters. He's not chasing, but is chasing. He thought he was completely fucking gone. We all did. I rode home Yonts as hard as I ever rode home a horse in my life because I thought that it was guaranteed a beautiful sort of. We're not sure who either. If you're out there watching MJ Bale, anyone but Peter Jackson, get in touch and we'd love to put your suits on. Sorry, Peter.
Yep. I'm going for Flying Mascot. I'm going to throw in General Bow because I just love that setup for that horse. And if I get 2 of them to lob, I'm in front.
So
all 3 to win, it's all over.
So what's the 150 and 50 or something?
Well, that's how you do it. It's like, equal staking each combo, so it's 50 on each combo. There's only 4 combos.
Okay, right. I'll do the same. I'll have Flying Mascot as well. I will now have Remark. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, Peter. So that'll kind of fuck you mentally when you've helped me win and beat you. Race 2, number 2. Race 3, number 2. Race 2, number 4. And my third and final leg. Just to fuck you proper. Race 8, number 3. Kiss on all 4 cheeks. That's going to be some good content. Exact same staking as Peter, which I'm not quite clear on. So that way there's no confusion when we're recording the results. But that three bets each. Josh, have you got a massive bet you want to leave the punters with at home?
I think I'm going to stick with the stable here in Arctica. In race 5, the CUNY.
Coming from the Bermuda Triangle of form, 2 starts, 2 wins at Pakenham.
Absolutely flying, I think.
It could be Winks. It could be Winks, but it might not be at the same time.
I think Johnny just sort of, Johnny I think admitted that she didn't love it last start, getting sort of in behind him, needs to be out with running room, and that's what she's going to get here at Flemington. No doubt, there's some good fillies in the race, no doubt, with Argentina and Barbrader, but I'll stick with Arctica there.
Very good.
Righto. Mountie Mail, Flemington, Sydney, Curly stuff in Queensland, Peter stuff in WA, prices and everything with Mark Roden, themailbag.com.au. Support the boys. Bye for now. Have a great week.